Okay, let's get started with making games in Roblox. Let's start by selecting new, and we'll start with a base plate. This is the new 2021 base plate. As you can see, it's very pretty. We've got this nice grid on the base plate and this spawn point already in at 0, 0. Cool. We can start by adding a part. We can do it from the home or the model tab. We want this cube block here, and it'll place a part in the center of the screen wherever we're looking. So if I'm looking all the way over there, it's going to put the part far away. If I'm looking close up, it's going to put it really close. Okay, this part, we can do things to this. We can move it around in the world with the move tool. These are the draggers. We can use the arrows to move them in one axis at a time. We can use the scale tool to expand or contract it in various angles. We can also hold down control while we do this to move it in both directions at the same time. We can also rotate this as so. And one other little thing that's useful is, you see how now when I've turned it, it turns the axis. No, it hasn't. There we go. It may have turned the axis, or it may not have turned the axis. If we hold that, if we press Control L, it will switch between the way that the part is facing and the way that the world axis runs, like so. So now it will turn in the X and Y and Z of the world, but if I switch to the orientation of the part, see now I can spin it round in its own plane. Okay. We can do a few other things to this. Let's get a fresh part. Here we go. We can also just drag it around by clicking on it and dragging it. We can select, we have a few parts in here. We can select them. If I click one and I click another, it'll select that one. But if I hold Control, I'll select both of them at once, or all three. I can also box select, like so, or just a couple. I can box select and press Control and deselect things, which is quite useful. Right, let's get rid of a couple of them. We only want the one for now. Let's also get rid of this base plate, make a bit of an obby. Okay, let's make this bigger. Scale tool, holding Control, dragging it out, and Control. Don't press too many buttons at once or it will go wrong like that. Okay, so there's our first platform. Very nice. Whenever we do things, we want to test frequently. So we can do that by we're on the Home tab. See this button here is play, like a little play button with a man in front of it. If we press play, it'll jump into the world and run it as it should be at the current time. As you see, our part's nowhere to be seen. That's because it's not anchored. So when it's not anchored, physics will act upon it and it will just fall out of the world. And there's no bottom, so it just literally falls out of the world. So if we look in the properties pane, which I've got over here, you may have somewhere else, you may not even have it up. If it's not up, we're going to go to View, this tab up here, View, and on the ribbon here, we have Explorer and Properties. We definitely want these to open, and I would suggest you have Output and Command Bar open as well. The others, I tend to open and close as I need them. Let's go back to this part. We want to look in the properties over here. If I scroll down, I'll find under behavior, anchored. There we go. If I tick that so that it's true, now physics doesn't act upon this part. It just stays exactly where it is. If I press play, oh, there's another little play button up here as well, on whichever tab you're on. And now, there we go. We have our first platform. Woohoo! Okay, stop that test. Let's now make another part. We can duplicate this by pressing Control D. And then let's use our drag tools. You can see, unfortunately, it's in exactly the same place. So let's drag it out. Yours may pop above. That's because of this thing here, collisions. So if I tick collisions and I do the same thing again, Control D, see now how it goes above? That's because with collisions on, you can't place parts into each other. If I turn collisions off, you'll see I can put this into exactly the same space as the other one. It can, essentially the parts can overlap with collisions off. I much prefer to have collisions off in general and just get things in the right place, but sometimes that can be useful. Let's make this a bit of a bigger jump. There we go. Okay, you'll see because I duplicated this from the first part, it's going to retain the fact that I ticked anchored. Okay, now let's make a long thin part. We can just still duplicate this and drag it out, and now let's scale it in and along. Okay, and how about we make this actually a choice of 3 paths. So we're gonna duplicate this again and move it over to the side, and duplicate it again and move it over to the other side. There we go. Now let's have only one of these paths be the real path. Let's make these two. I'm going to use Control to click this on, so I've selected both of them, but left this one on the left unselected. Now if I come down to here, we'll see can collide. Let's turn this to false by unticking it, and we'll press play again. Now we can jump onto this one, we can jump onto this one. We can still jump onto this one and run along, but if we was to try and jump onto, say, the middle one, we'll just fall straight through. It's like it's a false block. Okay. Let's get another normal sized one. Okay, well, that's looking cool and all, but our next thing is, it's all a bit grey and boring, so let's try changing the colours. We can change the colour with the brick colour or the colour. They're 2 different values, but they both do the same kind of thing in a different way. Brick colour allows us to select from a palette of 128 colours. We can just pick a ready-made colour, like really blue. Or this one we'll do with the colour value. This brings up this familiar colour selector, where we can pick everything from changing the hue, saturation value, as well as the red, green and blue, or even use the HTML code. We can save colours. You do that, and then let's say we go to blue and we'll add custom colour and it'll put a blue one in there. That's nice and useful. Okay, now let's give them a visual clue. We'll make this one green, and we'll make this one and this one, we'll make them red. So you should get the idea. And let's go back to a blue. Okay, that's looking good. What next? We want to make a part that disappears and reappears. How do we go about doing that? Well, let's copy this one over. Now, something else, this is getting a bit messy in the Explorer. We've got all these things called part. So, rather than that, we should probably name these. So if we select this one, we can name it in a few ways. We can find the name property, or we can click on it here and name it. We can right click it with the context menu and say rename, or as you see here it says F2, so we can use F2 to rename it. I'm going to select all of these and I'm going to rename them with the name property here. I'm going to change them to platform, and then I'm just going to change these two to false platform, I think. Try not to use spaces in your names, or minus symbols, or plus, or any other kind of operator or symbol like that. You can use underscore, but generally speaking I just use camel casing, so that's where you have capital letters at the beginning of words. For names, my convention is the names of instances, I name them with a capital at the very beginning as well. And for variables and scripts, which we'll get onto in a minute, I name them with a lowercase for the first word, and then uppercase for all subsequent words. Right, this is going to be our disappearing platform. So let's rename this one. I'm going to do this one up here and call this disappearing platform. Let's hope I've spelt that correct. And we'll make this one yellow. There we go. Okay, now to make this disappear, we are going to add a script. So we do that by, when we click on the part in the Explorer, there's a little plus button to the right here in a circle. We click on that, we'll get this menu up. We can make this big so we see all the parts in it, or we can have it small. We can use the search bar here to search for whatever we want. Ours is in frequently used, but in case yours isn't, write script into here and it will show you all the options with the word script in them. So we just want a normal script, not a local or a module script, just the script. And we're going to start by referencing the part. So we'll make a variable. What we're going to do is a local variable. Most of the time you're going to be using local variables. It's very rare that you'll want to use global in Roblox Lua. There's usually a better way. So we'll start with the keyword local. That sets what type of variable it is, and then we use the name that we want it to be. So we're going to call it, we'll just call it platform. And we say equals. So now we're setting what this is equal to. We're going to say script. This is a special keyword that refers to this script that we're in, the actual instance of the script. So where it is here in the workspace. And then we're going to say script.parent. So this basically is like an address. It's saying this script, the parent of this script. So we're making a variable called platform, and it's equal to the parent of the script. It might be a little bit confusing at first, but you'll get used to the way that we order these things in future. Okay, so now that we've given it a reference, we can say, we can affect things with it by using the dot operator. Platform dot, and then we can pick any of the things that are in the properties. So if we go over here to disappearing platform and we look at these properties, all of these things we can change with scripts and a few more. So let's look at the, first of all, the color. That was what we was just changing. We were changing that manually. We can change the color by saying dot brick color, and then we do equals again. So one equal sign is saying that we're setting something to something. So equals, and then we're going to, we don't want to just write in yellow or orange. We need to give it a specific type of variable, and that variable is a brick color. So we start writing brick color, there it is for us. We can tab to fill that in, and then say dot new, because we're making a new brick color to assign to the platform's brick color. Okay, in here we need to put this in quotes because it's a string, and then we can just pick from the list, or we can start writing it in. I'm going to go for something with an, I don't know, is there an orange? Neon orange, there we go. Okay, so that will give us the color neon orange. Not to be confused with the material neon, that's just the color neon orange. And if we press play, so if we come back now, you see how at the moment it's yellow. Actually, yellow and orange is probably not a good color choice. Let's go for something more obviously different. So it's blue at the moment, same as this one, but when we run, I'm just going to spin this around so we're facing the right way each time now. Okay, you can see how the block at the end has changed its colour to orange. That's because the script changed it to neon orange. And we can change, as I say, any of the properties we want this way. We could change it to be transparent. So let's go with platform dot transparency equals. Now, transparency is a value from 0 to 1, with 0 being completely opaque and 1 being completely transparent. So if we go in the middle, we say 0.5, it will be slightly translucent. Click play and test out what that's done. And as you can see, you can kind of see through it. If I jump on it there, you can see the moon through it. That's better. Okay. But obviously this just does it once. We want to make it disappear and reappear. So we don't want to change the color and we do want to change the transparency actually. So let's get rid of that line and we're going to change this to 1. This will make it be completely invisible. And we already touched on it. We can change the can collide false. So platform dot can collide equals, and here we write the word false like that. And now if we press play, it's essentially gone. In Studio's eyes, it's still there. It's just that we now pass through it and we can't see it. So from the player's perspective, it's not there, which is perfect. That's exactly what we're going to want. But we don't just want it to just disappear instantly. We want it to disappear and reappear. So we're going to wait. This is a special function, inbuilt function. We can write wait with some brackets, and then whatever number we put in the bracket is how long in seconds it's going to wait for. So let's go with fairly short. Let's go for just 1 second. And then we're going to do platform dot transparency equals 0, and platform dot can collide equals true. And now it disappears and then it reappears after 1 second, almost instantly. Now we could just keep writing this out, wait 1, and then transparency can, we could just copy paste this over and over. And this will do something like we're after. As you can see, it's appearing and disappearing. However, it's going to get to a certain point here and just stop because it's reached the end of the script. It's gone through all of these, got to the end, and now it's not doing anything. But we don't want it to do that. We want it to go on forever, so we need to use a loop. Let's get rid of most of these except for the one set. And we're going to put these inside a loop. Let's make a bit of space here. And we're going to use a while loop. So while true do. And then press enter. And you see how it puts an end sign here. It ends as well. Okay, while true do. So while something. So we can put a conditional statement in here. We can say while the sun is up, we do this. While the player's alive, we do something. But we just want it to be while true. And that will just always return true by putting the word true in there. So this loop will run forever. Now, important that we add a wait when we have a while loop. Otherwise, it will just run this forever as fast as it can. So we must have a wait in here. We already have a wait in our little bit of code, and we're going to put this code straight into here. And now it will make the platform transparent and can collide false. Wait 1 second, make the platform visible, and so you can touch it, and wait another second, and then it will loop back to the beginning and go through all of these all over again, and it will keep doing that now. So now if I press play, and we go over and look at it, that's it. There we go. Now it's appearing and disappearing forever. Fantastic. Okay, I think that's a good place to stop with this first lesson. Hope to catch you all with the next one.